Hey there, this is Natalie, and after the incredible tension of the declaration of war in Attack on Titan Season 4 Episode 5, now we've seen all hell breaking loose in Marley in Episode 6, or Episode 65 of the whole Attack on Titan series if you prefer. I've just finished watching Season 4 Episode 6, which once again was an absolute banger, and I'm really excited to talk about this one. So other than a very quick reminder that I'd really love it if you subscribe to my channel, I'm not going to waste any time in getting straight into the recap and review. So the first scene we see is Willy Tiber before the speech, saying goodbye to his family, and he's got a lot of kids. There had been hints in the build-up to his speech in just how nervous he was, that some of the things he said about regretting being the head of the family when this became necessary, that he knew he was likely to be dooming himself by giving this speech. And in this scene, and the following conversation with Captain Magas, we find out the true extent of his plan. As Willy stated in Episode 4, the Warhammer Titan is among these people. I know a lot of people thought Willy himself was going to be the Warhammer, but after the ending of Episode 5, where Eren looked to have broken him in half on his way into his mouth, I guess a lot of people who didn't already know from the manga were trying to guess from the Tiber family shown here who it was going to be. But we move straight on to an intense conversation from before the speech that reveals a lot more about the situation we're about to see unfolding, and just what Willy's intentions were. Willy's declaration of war had been held in the internment zone specifically because he knew it would cause the enemy to attack and would smoke them out, but also because by making tragic victims of himself and the Eldians in the internment zone, the world would unite against that enemy. As Magas tells him, where this isn't a war, so he can't know who the enemy is or how they will attack, he will not be able to protect Willy. And Willy makes it clear that he knows he will die here, that a lot of other people will die too, and that this is all necessary for his plan to work. Magas, a Marleyan captain who's sent countless Eldians to their death in Marley's wars, is not as easily persuaded that these deaths will be acceptable, because they will all be Eldian devils and incompetent soldiers. Yet he has to go along with Willy Tiber's plan, shaking his hand and telling him that while the Eldians may be devils, the Marleyans are too. And now we return to the moment where Episode 5 ended, with Eren bursting out from the stage as the attack titan and killing Willy. And that was just the cold open. After the OP, which, even though we're 6 episodes in now, I still like more every time I hear it, we see the sheer pandemonium that occurs in the wake of Eren's transformation. After Willy, the season promptly gets its next 2 named character fatalities in the form of Zofia and Udo. Zofia crushed instantly by the rubble Eren's transformation sent flying, and Udo trampled to death as he tries, in disbelief that her life could have been snuffed out so instantaneously, to lift it. Colt pulls the horrified Gabby to relative safety, and they shake in terror as the surviving people from close to the stage try to flee. But now we see that the one holding the power of the Warhammer Titan was actually the maid. She transforms, and we see the Warhammer Titan, the only one of the 9 Titan shifters who hadn't been revealed yet, construct itself from the ground up. The way this Titan forms is important, so worth paying attention to. Eren immediately attacks it, using the hardening power we saw him gain in Season 3 to reinforce his fists. The animation in this sequence was, in my opinion, absolutely fantastic, by the way. Magas, whose soldiers are all freaking out about the various issues with their current situation, like the fact their own Titan shifted warriors are missing, fires a shot at the attack Titan, saying that it marks the start of Marley's counterattack. He tells them that the opponent they're facing is Eren Yeager himself, who Willy, of course, just revealed to be basically the big bad, and the soldiers collectively soil themselves. But the Warhammer, which seems at first to be getting a right decking from Eren, reveals just what it can do. creating a huge spike that impales the attack titan and hoists him high above the wreckage, like a weird flag made of flesh and teeth. Magas remarks that everyone should remember that he fired the first shot, and he seems to have a grim confidence in how this situation is going to go. Meanwhile, Colt and Gabby are still trying to find help for the dying Udo, and next we see what's happening for Pieck and Galliard, who were dropped into a pit where they couldn't transform by this suspicious, bearded blonde soldier just before the speech. Luckily for them, Pieck is awesome, and because she was suspicious of the soldier, she told the Panzer unit to follow them during the overly long hug she gave one of them in episode 5. They show up and get Pieck and Galliard out, before going back to HQ to get the gear ready for Pieck to transform and them all to join the fight. Galliard, who is the Jaws Titan, is about to split off from them and enter the fray himself, when suddenly, overhead, some people fly over the buildings. This is the first sign of 3D maneuver gear this season, and while we don't know yet exactly who from the old gang is showing up now, I could not have been more hyped to finally see some of the Survey Corps post-Timeskip. But does them showing up now, presumably in response to the letters Eren had Falco send, mean they're in support of whatever craziness Eren is kicking off here against Marley? Though it begins to look shaky whether Eren will even make it out of this fight. The Warhammer appears to be able to create anything it wants using Titan armour at will, as well as being able to take an insane amount of beating without any problems. Having attacked Eren with big spikes, little spikes, and an enormous hammer befitting its name, with spikes, Eren's Titan looks pretty much defeated, and Eren himself is exposed. Magas and the soldiers, who have also been attacking Eren with their anti-Titan artillery, watch on, and Magas says that they need the Warhammer to eat Eren, so that the attack Titan and, more importantly, the founding Titan will come back under their side's control. But as the soldiers point out, the Warhammer seems to want to destroy Eren rather than eat him. The Warhammer Titan speaks, something we've really only seen the Beast Titan do before, and asks Eren if he has any last words, while wielding just the biggest hammer ever told. But Eren thinks about Mikasa, and how if she's going to show up, it's now or never. And what do you know? Firing a bunch of those thunder spears that Hanji invented in Season 3 into the Warhammer, Mikasa swings onto the scene, gaining a chance to talk to Eren at long last, and she tells him to come home. Then we get the bumper screen for the halfway point of the episode, which informs us that the maid controlling the Warhammer Titan is actually Willys' sister, Lara Tybur. So when she called him brother earlier after witnessing his death, she meant it literally, not in the usual anime Oni-sama kind of way. Now we see what Magas is ordering to happen so Marley can fight back, bringing soldiers who've been on special training in the mountains back, and converging their ships around the coast of Liberio, making it impossible for Eren to get away. At least, so he thinks. But Magas is no idiot, and as he sees the Survey Corps flying past, he thinks about how they must have known they'd take these kinds of measures, before his thoughts are interrupted by a bomb one of them threw into the room. Now we get to see post-Timeskip Jean, along with another Survey Corps member named Flock, who seems to be very impressed by Eren, before we return to Mikasa. Mikasa attempts to lecture Eren about how he's killed innocent people, but he doesn't have time to think about his sins just yet, because it seems that Mikasa's attack didn't take out the Warhammer. As it reforms and creates a dirty great crossbow for itself, Mikasa swings to safety with Eren, and they discuss the strangeness of the Warhammer, with Eren seeming to have figured out a plan to defeat it, where crushing it or blowing out its nape didn't work. Then we see Gabby and Colt, unable to get any treatment for Udo, where the hospital is packed with people and Udo is long past saving. Colt urges Gabby to find somewhere safe while he goes to look for Falco and Reiner, but Gabby refuses and runs off to try to join the fight. Guards try to stop her, but are sniped from a rooftop by none other than Sasha. Gabby's eyes meet hers for a second, and in her rage, Gabby picks up the fallen guard's rifle, while Sasha discusses with Connie, who's also grown up to look way more badass, how they're supposed to be setting up lights as a signal for something. That's going to pay off in the next episode. But for now, we see Mikasa trying to keep the Warhammer busy while Eren tries to reach its true body. He's figured out from the way it materialised feet first that the Titan Mikasa's fighting is tethered to its true body by some kind of gross Titan umbilical cord, rather than the true body being in the nape, and the person controlling the Titan is under the stage. He finds Lara Taiba, who is encased in Titan armour, and rips the cord away, causing the Warhammer Titan to fall to the ground lifeless. But as he prepares to eat her, Galliard in his Jaws Titan form approaches from behind and pounces to take a bite out of Eren's nape. Eren, who can use hardening, withstands the bite, and Galliard quickly notices that he's now become the opponent of one Levi Ackerman, as well as a whole bunch of other people in the new Survey Corps battle armour with 3D manoeuvre gear. And he wonders how these people can have the balls to fight him when he's a Titan, as the episode ends. So, we got a huge amount of action. The appearances of Mikasa, Levi, Jean, Sasha and Connie, the reveal of the Warhammer Titan, and countless deaths, including Willy, Sophia and Udo. There was a lot going on in this episode, and yet what we haven't seen of the aftermath of Eren's transformation yet is what happened to Reiner and Falco. Additionally, while we did see most of the Survey Corps, we are yet to see Armin, who of course now has the Colossal Titan, so it'll be interesting to see what his role in all of this is going to be. Hanji was also notable by her absence, so perhaps she's going to be part of whatever their plan is to actually get away from Liberio with Eren once all of this is over. Aside from just what the Paradise Island contingent have planned though, what's also going to be the topic of a lot of speculation now is just where they stand. Mikasa didn't seem to approve of Eren killing civilians in this move, so it does seem like this was Eren's own plan rather than something they'd all been involved in. Yet the fact they now have new body armour that seems to have been designed for fighting against people with guns as well as Titans does suggest that the military on Paradise Island have been gearing up for this kind of warfare for some time. Hopefully, now they've had their big moment of returning into the story, we'll get to find out just what's been going on for them for the past 4 years very soon, other than them all getting new haircuts. Before that though, we have to see how this crazy battle's going to end, and with what losses, and for that, I really can't wait until next week. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this episode. Personally, I loved everything about it. Well, almost everything. I have to say I'm not a fan of older Mikasa's new look, but that's really nothing to do with the episode because she basically looks like that in the manga too. I don't really think it's important. It's not like we watch Attack on Titan for the super moe waifus. I just think everyone else looks really cool after the time skip with their new armour, and she kinda looks like a man. But if that's literally the only thing I didn't love, then I'd be really interested to know what everybody else thought about it all. The animation, the new designs for the Survey Corps, and of course the Warhammer Titan. So please let me know in the comments. That's about all from me for this episode, but please subscribe if you want more Attack on Titan content. I cover both the manga and the anime, and I also do theory and analysis videos about the series, as well as other anime, including ReZero. And I really need the love, so please consider hitting the buttons down below. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all again very soon.